What's going on, guys? So another beautiful afternoon, evening, absolutely gorgeous. Hey, we got the windmill working, by the way. That was pretty cool. Just had to unlock it, but we thought it was jammed. About to crawl up there, and then a big gust came along, and now it works. Looks really cool. Anyways, have the Texas Pride gooseneck tilt deck trailer hooked up to the back of the truck, but not because we need to use the tilt mechanism. We're actually going to be side loading some sod on the back here. It's going to be about, math serves me right, about 10,000 pounds worth of sod. Yeah, we're going to load it on the side here, maybe in the midpoint right there, only because my 14-foot trailer that I have won't be able to actually load it because of the length, and we're ordering too much sod for it to fit on the back deck. So they told us we needed something longer than 14 feet, so we're going to go and bring this beast out. This thing has a incredibly robust frame to it. This thing should work really well, especially with the J-rated tires on the back, 17.5-inch Alcoas. This thing's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, we use this one quite a bit to move stuff around, especially if we need to side load something and strap it down. The 14-foot trailer works really, really well for anything smaller than that, or anything that we don't need too much room in. For instance, if I want to load the tractor or the zero turns on, if I need to take the tractor to go to get serviced or any of that stuff, it works out really well. Plus, if I need to pick up lumber, anything that's just too long to fit in the bed of my truck, I can load in my smaller trailer, and it is right there. And then, of course, we have the dump trailer out here. But, you know, Texas Pride builds some really good trailers. I want to talk about this for a second, though, because I think this conversation can relate directly over to a conversation about RVs that some people may be able to see the correlation with. So hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, so again, Texas Pride trailer. I think it is probably one of the best value-oriented trailers you can get, regardless of the features you're looking for, the different things you want. The folks at Texas Pride are really cool because they can customize the product for you. Now, when I talk about Texas Pride, I'm not trying to compare them against trailers that cost 3 or 4 times more, because there are some really awesome brands out there, and I'm not going to say any of them are bad. All I'm going to tell you is, from a value perspective, I have to weigh what I can afford to spend on a trailer versus what I need out of the trailer versus the features that I'm looking for in the trailer. And oftentimes that, to me, means that I'm willing to sacrifice certain aspects of the build, or certain aspects in terms of features that might be state-of-the-art or groundbreaking, to have a trailer that meets 110% of my needs versus 150% of my needs. What do I mean by that? I mean, whenever you're shopping for an RV, a truck, a trailer, really anything, you always have that wide scope that you can look within. You can basically say, I'm out there to find the cheapest possible thing. I don't really care what it's designed to do, as long as it does the thing I need it to do at that moment. And then you can say, I'm willing to spend as much as I want to spend, or as much as I can spend, on the very, very best. You know, something that nothing can touch. And the same with RVs. Your budget's going to determine the outcome, right? Your budget, as well as the features and amenities that you're specifically looking for. For instance, if we wanted the most all-weather, full-time, most robust, capable RV that we could have gotten, we would have spent well over $150,000 or $200,000 and gotten something like a New Horizon, a DRV, a Lux, and said, okay, we have to have 3-inch thick sidewalls. We have to have a triple stacked 15-inch boxed frame, or RV from a manufacturer that builds the most robust frame available. We have to have soft touch ceiling. We have to have all hardwood cabinets. We have to have an RV that's more built like a home than a typical RV. Unfortunately, though, our budget would never allow for us to have that type of RV. I'm sure there's a lot of people who watch my channel that have those RVs, but again, we have to weigh how we're going to use our RV versus the value we're getting out of it and the amount we're going to spend. So value for us always trumps prestige. It always trumps cosmetic design and even some build characteristics, because you can always overbuild something if you're willing to find someone who can do that for you, and if you have enough money to get it done. So that being said, you know, coming back to my Texas Pride trailer, there are trailers out there that, if I got them in this configuration, would cost $10,000 to $15,000 more than what this cost. And what does that mean? That means I can look at brands like Diamond C. Diamond C builds a phenomenally well-engineered trailer. I'm not going to knock them at all. I think they're probably some of the most creative, some of the most engineered, and some of the most detailed in terms of some of the aspects that they do to their specific trailer. But the way I have to figure it is it worth $10,000 to $15,000 more than my Texas Pride trailer, which does so much more than I would ever need it to do and is overbuilt at the same time? What do I mean by overbuilt? I mean having a trailer that a manufacturer is willing to derate because I tell them that I'm not going to go over that certain weight rating and I need it to fit the type of towing and license requirements that I have to tow it with my truck. So whenever I look at what my trailer can carry, and I know that it was built to be able to carry, this exact trailer was built to be able to carry just under 20,000 pounds. And the fact is, I'm never going to load this thing beyond 12, 13, 14,000 pounds max. I know that I have a trailer that is far more robust than I would ever need it to be. Now, what does that mean from a design and engineering perspective? Is it going to be the lightest trailer on the market? Absolutely not. Is it going to have some features that I could pay for in a trailer that's $10,000 to $15,000 more? Probably not. You know, there's some certain engineering aspects to this that are designed to meet the requirements of what most people would need out of something like this, but perhaps it's a bit heavier. Perhaps it doesn't have some of the cosmetic features that you might be looking for out of a more expensive trailer. The fact is, though, this trailer goes well beyond my expectations. It's going to go well beyond any use case I'm going to subject this to. That doesn't mean there's not some construction company out there that looks at other trailers and goes, you know what, I could really use that feature, and that feature is going to benefit my business. It's going to give me the ability to carry more and still keep my truck under a certain weight rating. It's going to give me the ability to use less steel and still have the same capacity. But I understand I'm going to be paying a lot more for that engineering. I'm going to be paying a lot more to have something like that. The same holds true with RVs. You know, by having an RV like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that they skimped out on engineering, but it also doesn't mean that they looked at it in every conceivable fashion and said, where can we spend money, additional money, to make this thing more robust, or where we can spend additional money to make this thing a tank going down the road. It'll add weight, it'll add metal, it'll add components, it's going to add cost in terms of labor and materials, but that's what the customer wants to buy, and they're willing to spend $200,000 to get that. That's not what we were doing when we were shopping for our next fifth wheel, and that's certainly not what I was doing when I was shopping for equipment trailers. The fact is, I can get this trailer, that trailer, and that trailer for less than what a lot of people pay for a higher branded model, or a model that has some of those engineered features. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to make. I can get all the equipment I need with multiple trailers, because I love trailers, versus spending, you know, a lot more and maybe getting one trailer that has some really great engineering perks to it that don't really matter much to me. If I had a lighter duty truck, if I had a 3/4 ton truck and I really had to focus on payload capacity, then I might want my trailer to be under a certain weight. I might want it engineered to be as light as possible, simply because I need, from a business perspective, the most out of my trailer in terms of dry weight as well as loaded weight, so I can stay under a certain weight rating. You know, there are all of those business cases that people can justify spending extra money if it means that it's going to give them the return on investment they're looking for. But for me, and I think you guys know this by now, it doesn't have to be the most expensive. It doesn't have to be the brand that everyone automatically thinks of when you think the very, very possible best constructed, very best engineered trailer out there. I believe Texas Pride, I believe Coachmen make very, very good products. I believe Ford makes a good product. And I'm willing to spend my money where I think it matters to me most. And this is where the lesson starts. A lot of folks automatically see a product. It doesn't matter what YouTuber's doing. It could be a YouTuber who's showing you microwaves. It could be one showing you phones or watches. And instinctively, they think, well, you could have gotten something better. You know, I shot a video about this a while back where I had a viewer that, you know, basically said that I was a sellout, that I was this and that, and then why would I even go for a piece of junk Brookstone? I talk about RVs and luxury when I could have gotten a New Horizon, or I could have gotten a DRV or a Lux for only $75,000 to $100,000 plus more. Why did I get what I have? You know, especially saying the messages that I talk about in terms of RVs and how they're built and all this stuff. And I personally think I got a hell of an RV for what I paid. I personally believe I got one heck of a well-constructed unit. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Are any of my trailers perfect? Absolutely not. Is there rust in certain areas? Yes, there is. But I would venture to say any RV, regardless of the price, any trailer, regardless of the price, if you use it the way it's intended to be used, eventually stuff is going to rust. Stuff might break. Stuff might have just broken because it was a manufacturer's defect on the specific component. Whenever I shop for a product, whenever I look at a product, value is most important to me, hands down. Cosmetics, all the ability for them to paint this thing red, the ability for them to do little things that I thought were really cool, like put a second toolbox on it, the ability for them to throw Alcoas, even though the center caps for these specific wheels, because I couldn't find Alcoa center caps, obviously leave something to be desired, and they're rusting pretty bad. But the fact that they could equip this the way that I wanted with a Warren winch on it, the solar panel charger, I mean, really, really great features for me was more important than spending $10,000 to $15,000 more on features that might have been cool, but I never would have used, or never would have needed, or never really would have even thought of adding had it, you know, not been for the brand bragging about it or talking about it. So again, is Texas Pride the best manufacturer of trailers in the United States? I would venture to say not. I'd venture to say there's a lot of brands that are out there that are really good. A lot of them build really solid trailers. A lot of them build some crazy nice trailers that do some crazy awesome things. You know, Texas Pride even builds better trailers than this. They have better options than this. But for my application and the fact that I was supporting, you know, a Texas-based business that was relatively close, I was able to drive up and see their facility. They were not ashamed to show me their production line and film every aspect of it. It wasn't a professionally edited video where they cleaned the whole place up and made it look brand new. They let me walk through any station I wanted and basically just explained where I was going. I was really proud of the fact that I got a Texas Pride trailer. The amount that it cost was absolutely, and all of them, was absolutely appealing to me because it meant that I could get more for less in terms of what I was looking for. You know, the fact, you know, well, obviously, whenever I talk about RVs, I talk about suspension, I talk about wheels, I talk about tires, I talk about axles. You know, 9,000-pound axles, 17.5-inch J-rated tires, Alcoa wheels. You know, I really couldn't have asked for anything more that they couldn't do. Sure, there are some brands out there that have some really great perks, and I appreciate the engineering that goes behind them. I watch their channel, I watch their videos, and I see some of the things they do, and I'm pretty amazed by some of the technology and engineering that goes into some of these other brands like Diamond C. However, is it overkill for me? Absolutely. Is it overkill for you? You know, possibly not. For me, this is probably the best value in trailer manufacturing that I have found. That's it. Value-wise for me. You have to evaluate that on your own for yourself. So when I talk about, you know, endorsements, am I endorsing Texas Pride? For me, I am. For a lot of people who purchase them, I am. For you, that's a personal decision. That's something you have to determine for yourself. Same as if you're buying an RV. You need to make the value portion of your evaluation more important oftentimes than the cosmetic portion, or maybe even the engineering portion. You know, do you need a New Horizon if you're just going to go out, you know, once every 3 months for 3 days with your family 10 miles away? Probably not. If you got a New Horizon, would you have the biggest, baddest, heaviest, most luxurious RV out there? You know, probably. But at the end of the day, is that going to work best for your financial situation, what you need, and what you're trying to accomplish? Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this message. Listen carefully. You can hear all the coyotes. Not even kidding. Sounds like there's probably 500 coyotes somewhere back there. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll be hitting the road in the morning. Talk to you again later.